This is Chi Osei, a Democratic Socialist council member for the 36th District in New York City. Recently, Osei participated in a protest outside of a 3-story brownstone in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The brownstone, located at 212 Jefferson Avenue, is occupied by Carmela Charrington, whose family has reportedly lived there for over 60 years. On April 22nd, the New York City Sheriff's Office and NYC Marshals showed up to carry out an eviction of Miss Charrington.
When I got a call from my constituent, Miss Charrington, she called in panic. Their marshals were at her door. She's a grandmother. There was a 7-month child that was in the house. As a council member and also as a human being, I found it to be my responsibility to show up and see how I could support, at least delay the eviction of her and her family.
And I wanted to do my job as the representative for Miss Charrington, to just stand and observe and to make sure that there was no violent eviction that was taking place.
However, he is understating his participation, because standing and observing quickly turned into actively obstructing law enforcement.
Supporters gathered in front of a brownstone on Jefferson Avenue as marshals arrived to carry out the eviction. When they couldn't get through, police were called. Brooklyn council member Chi Osei was among those police arrested.
When the marshal started moving in my soul, I could not let that take place. I could not see a black family within Bed-Stuy removed from a home. So I stood in front of the house.
Councilmember Osei claims that he was just mostly peaceful protesting, but the NYPD and video footage from the event tells a slightly different story. A New York City Police Department spokesman told Fox News Digital that Osei was charged with obstruction of governmental administration and disorderly conduct. After 2 protesters were arrested for blocking the gate entrance, Osei pushed back officers who were attempting to block him from standing in front of the gate. And when Osei began to block the gate, he was immediately arrested. But of course, Councilman Osei paints himself to be a victim.
I believe there was a knee on my back at some point.
Yeah.
When I was in the cop car, the driver was driving very aggressively, taking sharp turns, had no seatbelt on in the car, and I did hit the car door several times on my way over to the precinct. But I will absolutely be filing a misconduct report against the officers who slammed me on the ground.
So why were the cops and marshals there in the first place? Well, to hear the family and the politicians and the local news tell it, this was a malicious predatory case of deed theft.
Homeowner Carmela Charrington and local housing advocates say the sale of her property to investors in 2024 was a form of deed theft, a criminal practice where predatory speculators use forgery, deceit, or fraud to illegally transfer ownership on paper and sell properties without the knowledge or full understanding of rightful owners.
Deed theft is basically the practice of stealing one's home through paper, using fraudulent schemes of forging signatures, or using even family members as a means to steal or occupy one's home to then sell it for millions of dollars.
And local news outlets were more than happy to blindly parrot that definition without bothering to check if it actually applied here.
Imagine owning a multi-million-dollar brownstone in Bed-Stuy, then learning one day someone illegally sold it right from under your feet.
They gave me a letter for 10 days and told me I had 10 days to move.
That's what Carmela Charrington says happened to her in January.
Yes, that certainly sounds like a terrifying scenario. But spoiler alert, Carmela Charrington is not, nor has she ever been, the homeowner. So 212 Jefferson in Brooklyn was owned by 2 people, Almond Charrington, the elderly father of Carmela Charrington, and Almond's sister, Gertrude Keene. In 2011, Gertrude transferred her 50% stake in the deed of the brownstone to her son Clinton. When Clinton later passed away, he did not leave his 50% stake to a single person. Instead, his share was divvied up by 12 of his descendants and extended relatives. Then there's Almond Charrington's stake. Because Almond was deemed legally incapacitated A judge in Georgia placed him under a court-ordered conservatorship. But according to Carmela, this wasn't a tragic family health situation, it was a massive predatory conspiracy.
He ended up being in a guardianship. My father was in Georgia. He married this woman that we had no knowledge of, Karen Charrington. He married her, and he had a prenup and everything, and she started liquidating all his assets.
For context, Karen is Allman's estranged wife, reportedly 30 years his junior, whom the family accuses of teaming up with the court administrations to fleece him. So naturally, Carmela goes on to complain that the court deliberately bypassed the children to orchestrate this supposed theft.
And so we got involved, and then we went to be his guardian and conservator. And when we went to do it, the Georgia probate court was like, no, we'll be a neutral party. And I was like, a neutral party? Why would you be a neutral party? We're his children. He got 5 kids.
She leaves out why the court demanded a neutral party. The Charrington family was locked in a bitter, fractured war over Allman's care and finances. So the probate judge stepped in to break the deadlock and appointed an outside attorney to manage the estate.
And then they came in here, and the conservator, her name, you can look her up, Luann Bonney in Georgia. She is known for taking people's assets and liquidating and stuff.
However, the legal reality is far less conspiratorial. Mr. Charrington reportedly suffers from dementia. His legally appointed conservator had a state-mandated duty to manage his estate and fund his ongoing care. So when those 12 other family members on the other half of the deed decided to cash out and sell their shares to a developer for $1.4 million, the conservator agreed to sell Allman's share too. Nobody forged a signature, and nobody stole a deed. The developers bought it fair and square.
An alleged deed thief showed up earlier this week, trying to force her out.
He rang the doorbell. He said, I'm here to evict you.
Why is it that these reporters seem to have no journalistic curiosity whatsoever? I mean, would you take this woman's word for it?
Now tell me, how did you find out that your deed had been stolen?
This particular group, 227 Group LLC, which has bought so far 119 properties in Black and Latino neighborhoods.
Juan Gonzalez from Democracy Now! Accidentally tells the truth that 227 Group bought 119 properties. They didn't steal them. Buying out legal heirs doesn't make you a criminal. It makes you a capitalist.
So as we see neighborhoods like Bed-Stuy, Southeast Queens, Harlem become more desirable in the eyes of real estate companies and real estate brokers, we're seeing a rise in deed theft across our communities.
See what's happening here, right? Osei and his media cheerleaders are purposefully blurring the line between a legal real estate transaction that they don't like and actual literal fraud. Because if they admitted that this was just a messy, entirely legal family dispute, then Osei wouldn't get to play civil rights hero for the cameras. And right on cue, Mayor Zoran Mamdani made an announcement capitalizing on the outrage.
Today, I am proud to announce the creation of New York City's first ever Office of Deed Theft Prevention.
Gee, if there's one thing New York City definitely needs right now, it's another layer of taxpayer-funded bureaucracy to investigate crimes that are already on the books.
Charrington hopes the city's newly established Deed Theft Prevention Office steps in and takes action immediately.
But there was no deed theft here. You can't take action against a crime that literally didn't happen. But why let the truth get in the way of political grandstanding? Just ask Attorney General Letitia James, who knows firsthand about real estate scamming.
Deed theft does not occur in isolation. It is tied to a broader web of predatory practices. Illegal evictions, deed theft, and abusive partition practices force too many families out of their homes that they've owned for generations. We saw the result of these scams on Wednesday, not too far from here.
And that was Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, referring to the events at 212 Jefferson. However, she is contradicting her own office, because just days earlier, the Attorney General's office said that after it investigated Charrington's case last year, it was determined to be a property dispute rather than a deed theft case.
I just had a quick question about your office saying that the home that
Jimmy,
Chiosei was arrested outside wasn't actually the victim of deed theft. Can you comment on that?
It technically wasn't a deed theft. It emanated from deed theft. It originated from deed theft, but it was an eviction proceeding.
Emanated from deed theft? What the is that supposed to mean? It was a legal sale authorized by a judge and a court-appointed conservator. You can't just slap the word theft onto a perfectly legal, state-mandated real estate transaction just because your political allies threw a temper tantrum in front of news cameras to further their political career. F***ing clown world. Anyway, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time, if there's next time.